Hi, you guys. It's Yaz, and today I'm going to talk about 5 things a narcissist won't see coming, okay? What do you think a narcissist wouldn't see that's going to come? Well, I'm going to get into this and give you 5 things that will blindside a narcissist, and they'll never see this coming. Number 1, okay? One of the things that a narcissist gets blindsided and never sees coming is your silence, okay? A narcissist is used to you arguing with them, going back and forth with them, that they're gaslighting you. You're sitting there trying to figure things out. But when you stop arguing with that narcissist and you just run silent on them, they're going to be dumbfounded because they're not going to understand why you're not defending yourself anymore, why you're not reacting, why you're not getting angry. See, narcissists, they thrive on your reactions and they thrive on you getting angry, especially a passive-aggressive covert narcissist. Half the time they do passive-aggressive behaviors is to get a rise out of you, is to get you angry so that you're yelling and screaming, and they could paint the picture that you're nuts, you're crazy. But when you go silent and you don't let these things trigger you, okay? It takes an enormous amount of self-control. I know, easier said than done, but you've got to look at the game of the narcissist and you have to say to yourself, I'm not going to be sucked in, all right? They're not going to get a reaction out of me because this is what they want. Any kind of reaction to the narcissist fuels the narcissist. They like to see you get angry because it shows you care. It shows that they are affecting you. It shows that they have control over you and your emotions. But when you run silent or you run indifferent, which is even better, that totally throws a narcissist off because now they've lost control over you. Now, no matter what they try to pull, they're not getting any kind of reaction out of you. And this takes all of their power away. So a narcissist will not see it coming when you stop reacting and you run silent on them, okay? At that point, the narcissist may panic because they realize you're starting to see through them. You starting to see through the game. See, the narcissist knows. They're very perceptive, and they know that when you stop defending yourself and you stop arguing with them, that, you know the game. You know what they're trying to do, and you're not going to play into their hands. And that's when the narcissist would panic, all right? What they're going to do is probably just call you crazy. They'll still try to provoke you, or they're going to put their energy somewhere else on another supply because now they realize that they don't have the control over you that they once had because, again, you're starting to see through them. What's the next thing that a narcissist would never see coming? When a victim starts to see their self-worth and starts doing self-care, okay? Narcissists want you to crumble. They want you to fail. So when you start taking care of yourself, maybe going to the gym, going on walks, taking care of your appearance, doing your hair, taking care of how you look, and take pride in yourself, that will blindside the narcissist because the narcissist, one of their goals is to, devalue you and make you feel worthless. But it will blindside them when you start taking care of yourself and taking pride in your appearance. Not only that, you will be a threat to that narcissist. Let's say you start going to the gym. They're going to start making their comments and say, well, you don't need the gym. Don't go to the gym. Oh, I don't like when you get muscular. Or they'll accuse you of things like, oh, what is there, somebody at the gym that you're cheating on me with? So they're going to try to sabotage your self-care, but they're going to be blindsided by it because a narcissist wants to break somebody down so that they could feel superior. But when you take your power back, one of the ways you take your power back is by your self-care, and narcissists absolutely hate it. They hate when you're taking care of yourself, okay? Because they know that with that self-care comes your confidence and gives you your strength to be able to walk away. See, they want you to be codependent on them feeling like they're the greatest thing that ever walked into your life. But when you're doing self-care, now they realize, you're feeling better about yourself. You have more self-confidence, and you're not going to put up with somebody who's devaluing you or abusing you because maybe you're getting more attention now because you're taking care of yourself and you realize that your world doesn't have to revolve around the narcissist. So that is something that the narcissist won't see coming when all of a sudden you start doing your self-care, okay? And like I said, they're going to hate it and they're going to try to sabotage it because they don't ever want you to think that you're better than them. And they're going to try to do whatever they can to try to get you to fall apart. See, they want you popping antidepressants, crying, reactive, angry, yelling and screaming, because then they feel they have the power over you. But when you run quiet, you don't react, you have your power, you're taking care of yourself, you're not fazed by that narcissist anymore, you know who you are, and you're taking pride in your self-care. This totally knocks the wind out of the narcissist, okay? And like I said, they will continue to try to devalue you, but when you stand strong, they're not going to get anywhere with it. And it's really going to, it's going to bother them with your self-care. Next thing that will, a narcissist will not see coming and will blindside them, all right, is the fact that you set boundaries. And see, this is a tricky thing because when you get into a relationship with a narcissist and you let them do whatever they want, and then all of a sudden you set boundaries, it doesn't necessarily work, okay? This is what a lot of people don't realize. Boundaries don't necessarily work on every narcissist. It really depends on the narcissist that you are dealing with. If you have strong boundaries and the narcissist doesn't need you and they could get other supply, your strong boundaries are not going to do anything except to get rid of that narcissist. They're not going to deal with you. And in one sense, it's good because it weeds out the fact that, this person was not all in and that you didn't matter to them. So when you put up those strong boundaries, they're not going to want to deal with you. So they'll disappear on you and they're going to refocus themselves on other supply that don't have these strong boundaries. That's why a lot of times, I did a reel on this, a narcissist will bounce to another supply, not necessarily because that supply is better, but because that supply is easier to deal with, all right? Maybe their boundaries are lower. So, they're going to be blindsided once you put up these boundaries because at one point they were able to do whatever they want, and now you're putting these boundaries up and you're saying, no, you can't do things like stay out all night. You can't just ignore my calls. And you have to have consequences with boundaries where you're going to be like, you know what? If you do this, I'm not going to be here. See, you can't just have boundaries without consequences. This is what people do. They put up boundaries and say, you better not do that again. You better not do that again. And the narcissist keeps breaking their boundaries. And guess what? They're still there. As long as you're still there, your boundaries don't matter. There has to be consequences in order for your boundaries to be effective. You have to follow through, okay? Otherwise, your word means nothing and the narcissist is just going to, run you down. So when you put up boundaries and you mean those boundaries and you let them know, I'm not going to be disrespected. If you talk to me in a certain way, you and I will not be talking, all right? And you have to mean it, you guys. You have to mean it. And if that narcissist cares enough to keep you, they're going to have to abide by those boundaries. They're going to hate it. But the only way they'll abide by those boundaries is if they need you or you have something that they need, okay? Like I said, know your target. If that narcissist has other supply that they could get and they don't need you, your boundaries will do nothing except get rid of the narcissist, which in a way is a good thing because you're not wasting your time anymore. And all of this, the narcissist won't see coming when you start setting those boundaries, all right? The next thing a narcissist won't see coming, and this is kind of like the first point I made in this podcast, is indifference. When you run indifferent with the narcissist, when they no longer have an effect on you that they once had, all right? You're tired. You're tired of the games. You're tired of the gaslighting. You're tired of the confusion. And now you're going to run cold. You're going to run indifferent to that narcissist because you're tired of playing the game, all right? So when you run indifferent to the narcissist, you get to a point where you don't even care anymore what they're doing, who they're doing it with, or what's coming out of their mouth. You don't care. This is what happens. This is what happens to an empath that has pushed too far. They get to a point where they don't care anymore. And I did a reel about this about a week ago where I said when an empath is pushed too far, that's the point of no return, where they're not going to care anymore and they're going to walk away because they've done everything they could do to try to make it work. They see this person, it's futile, it's useless. They're not taking them seriously. They're not serious in the relationship. And the empath walks away and discards the narcissist. So when you show indifference, like now you don't care anymore, that's going to blindside the narcissist because they want you to care. And when they start to see that indifference in you, what do you think that narcissist is going to do? They're going to re-love bomb you again, all right? They're going to try to draw you back in and get you to a point where you're sweating them again. They're going to tell you, I love you, out of the blue. When they see you pulling back, they're going to try to draw you back in. More manipulation. That's what this is. And this is what causes that cognitive dissonance, that confusion in people, because the narcissist sees you pulling back and now they want to draw you back in. So they're going to give you words of affection, okay? Admiration, flattery, everything to try to draw you back in because they want you to care again. They don't want to see you, starting to give up on the relationship. All right. So that's going to blindside the narcissist and they're going to panic. And like I said, they're going to try to re-love bomb you to draw you back into their web. All right. Now, the next thing that, a narcissist won't see coming is when you discard them cold, baby. All right. And I always tell people, you don't have to explain yourself to the narcissist. Once you realize this person is playing games with you, they're toxic, you see any kind of shady shit, that's when you don't have to respect that person, all right? Because they're playing head games with you. And that is mad disrespect to you. So the way you blindside or, a narcissist won't see what's coming is to completely drop them cold, all right? Drop them cold, block them. They will know when you do that why you did it. Okay, narcissists know. And what they're going to say to themselves is, oh, they finally figured me out, okay? They finally figured out what I was doing, all right? But they're going to be blindsided when you discard them, okay? Because in a narcissist's mind, they don't think you're going anywhere. They think that you'll be around forever. So when you discard them, they'll be blindsided because narcissists are overconfident. They think, they overplay their hand. They think that, they have people forever. And this is the ultimate demise of the narcissist because they lose people. Eventually, people become awakened. And when people become awakened, they no longer are susceptible to the narcissist manipulation because they see it for what it is. They see that this person is not who they thought they were. They recognize the games that the narcissist is playing. This is why education is crucial, all right? Knowledge is power. I used to say this all the time in my older podcasts, especially on dating and relationships. Knowledge is power. So the more you educate yourself, the more you recognize narcissistic people and narcissistic behaviors, the more you're able to understand why that narcissist is doing what they're doing. You will be able to figure out the narcissist and you will be able to predict what they will do because narcissists are very predictable. So once you're able to predict what a narcissist can do, you know how to handle them, okay? Like I've dealt with so many narcissists in my life, you guys, whether it was in my marriage, in my dating life, in my family life, I really grew up around very, very narcissistic people, all right? And for a long time, I really didn't know what was going on. A lot of times I thought I was the problem. I thought I was going crazy till I educated myself and I regained my power. And then I recognized, I said, oh my goodness, this person is a covert narcissist. This person is a malignant narcissist. This person is a grandiose narcissist. It all made sense. And once it all makes sense, you realize that, hey, the problem isn't me. The problem is I'm dealing with toxic people, okay? And this will blindside the narcissist because they want you to always feel like you're the problem. And this is where you get your power. I've actually had people close to me try to devalue me, try to bring me down, okay, and tear me up, all right? When I tell you I've been to hell and I've been in a snake pit, I'm not lying to you. I don't even podcast on a lot of shit that I went through, okay? Because it is a very fragile thing, and because I know a lot of those narcissistic people are still watching me, okay? And I don't want to create waves. So the point I'm trying to make is when you understand all this and you understand who they are and why they do what they do, okay, that will blindside them because now you're not playing into their hand, all right? You're not sitting there and thinking that you're the problem. You're realizing that you're not the problem. You're not the one who's crazy. You're dealing with somebody who's trying to tear you up and destroy you because of their own insecurities and their own jealousy. And you're not going to allow that because now you see it for what it is, all right? And that's going to blindside the narcissist because when they try to tear you up, provoke you, devalue you, you're not going to tolerate that, okay? You're not going to tolerate that. You're going to distance yourself from those people. You're not going to take the bait, and you're not going to have your self-worth and your self-esteem ripped up because you see them for who they are and you understand why they're doing it, okay? That's as clear as day. And the only reason I'm able to say this to you is because I have been through this. Experience is the best teacher of life. This is not something that somebody could just read out of a book. You have to have endured this kind of pain, this kind of abuse to really be able to explain it the way it is, okay? That's why a lot of people go to therapists and the therapists suck, all right? I'm not saying all therapists, some therapists are very good, but a lot of them suck and don't understand because they haven't been through it. They don't even have the life experience. It's like going to a therapist with kids and they've never had kids and trying to explain issues with children. It's hard for them to relate to something like that if they've never had children themselves and understand that or understand co-parenting. You know, don't go to somebody about co-parenting advice unless they've gone through that, because those are the people that will be able to explain to you the best of how to do it, okay? Not somebody who just reads it out of a book, because it's completely different and there's a lot of different aspects involved with that. And that goes with anything in life, all right? So that's why I'm saying to you, you will blindside the narcissist when you have your power, you understand, and you discard them coldly, all right? You will blindside the narcissist when you take that control away from them, the control of your emotions, the control of your anger, the control of, when they go into a silent treatment and you trying to talk to them and everything. You will realize, no, I'm not going to say anything to a narcissist who goes into a silent treatment. You want to go silent? Do it, okay? But you're not going to get a reaction out of me. Not today, Satan, okay? Because I see what you're trying to do. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to put that wall up and try to punish me for something I said or I did. Well, guess what? You could go silent the next 10 years because I'm still going to live my life and do what I have to do for me, regardless of your silent treatment, okay? And when you decide to come back, guess what? It's going to be on my terms, not yours, all right? And I spoke about this in an older podcast where I said, if they go silent on you and they come back to you, you don't give in necessarily right away, because then they think they could pull this shit anytime. You let them know, you either do one of two things. You either say, you ever do that again, you and I will not be talking, because I'm not going to deal with somebody who runs silent on me and can't communicate. Either you can communicate, or I'm not in this relationship. I'm not going to deal with these games, all right? Or you give them the silent right back and show them that if you're gonna silence me, now when you want to communicate with me, I'm not going to be available for you. That's showing the narcissist that they can't play these games with you, that you're not always going to be accessible to the narcissist, all right? And, that got copied by somebody, all right? But anyway, you guys, forget that. The point is that you will blindside them when you start taking control of your life again, all right? And you realize that the narcissist doesn't have the power. You have the power. You have the power of your own life. You can't control what other people do, but you can control how you react to them and whether you want these people in your life. And that is the most important point you will ever learn in life, okay? One of the most important points, that you can't control people, but you can control your response to them. All right? And don't give them a response is the best. Silence is power, okay? I talk about it in my small book that I have on Amazon, How to Regain Your Power. You can read it on Amazon with Kindle free, with a free membership on Kindle, okay? I never talk about my book lately, but it's on there, and it talks about all about silence is power, okay? It's called Regain Your Power. So you guys, this is what all the things that will blindside the narcissist and they won't see coming, okay? I hope that helps you. If it does, please share the video. Build awareness. This is how you break the narcissist, by building awareness to other people so that these narcissists can't take advantage of anybody and get any supply. We want to starve the narcissist. And the way you starve the narcissist is by enlightening and awakening other people that don't know, okay? So share the video to educate and make people aware of what these people do, okay? If you're looking for coaching, check out my link in the bio. I'm going to be away for 2 weeks, but then I'll be back. If you're looking for confidential one-on-one phone coaching, it's at askgaz.wixsite.com/thegameexposed. My YouTube, I have over 7,000 videos now at the Game Exposed podcast. I lay it down on YouTube. Just do a search on my channel, the search button on the right of the Game Exposed podcast, and you'll find things on everything on narcissism, discard, covert narcissist. I do a lot on covert narcissist, passive-aggressive behaviors, all different kinds of things, how narcissists, they can't be alone, how they manipulate, how they try to devalue you, all these blame shifting, everything with the narcissist. My Facebook and Instagram is The Game EXP123, and TikTok, you guys, is The Game Exposed. And have a great day.